And we're live. Happy Friday. Today we have Shelley Sakala on the show, so we're really going to dive into everything that Shelley's been doing in her business, so we're pretty excited about that. Also, if you have questions, please, we love questions, so we want to answer any questions that you have. We're going to get into a lot about today, not only just our team, but our main topic today is going to be farming. So I'm pretty excited about this. So we haven't had anything like this on the show yet. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. But if you have questions, please post the questions in the group. Kelly's going to be texting me the questions since I did not bring my laptop in today. So shame on me for doing that. But so welcome, Shelley.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I'd like to start off with a little bit about you. You know, what were you doing before real estate, and then what made you decide to get your real estate license? Let's start there.
Okay, so I was a journalist, and I worked at ABC 15 here locally, and I was a meteorologist and a reporter, so that's what I was doing before. And
was that right out of school, or?
You know, I went to NAU, and then I, was trying to figure it out. I was in broadcasting there. I knew that I wanted to be a journalist, but it's not the easiest job to land. And so I really didn't want to have to move, and you really have to move typically to a smaller market to kind of, get your feet wet and learn a lot. So I was hesitant to do that. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Anyway, long story short, I did end up getting into broadcasting, and I worked here at Phoenix Channel 11, and I was actually the first human to be in studio doing traffic because at Channel 5, that was a million years ago, because they used to have, from the chopper, it was always somebody's voice, and then they decided they were going to bring, a human in and have an anchor that actually would do traffic in studio.
I kind of remember that, right?
Yeah, so we...
Helicopters.
Yeah, exactly. Skyview Traffic Watch.
Right.
Anyway, which is, not too far from here. Anyway, so I, just did whatever I could do, whatever job I could find. I wanted to be on the air. And then anyway, I ended up getting a weather job, which I never saw myself doing weather. And one of the anchors at Channel 5 said to me, I'll never forget, Jay Allen said, you should take this job because it is the hardest job in the newsroom because you don't have a teleprompter. You have to just be ad-libbing, talking, and it really will hone your skills. So I went to Medford, Oregon, and I worked for $7 an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like 1997. And I would do the morning show, weather, and then take a big old camera and tripod and whatever and go out and shoot a story, come back, put the story together. I'd have to stand in front of the tripod, make sure my head didn't get cut off, and for a stand-up, and then go back and go tilt it up a little because I was out there by myself.
Wow! So
shoot my own stand-up. So we shot all our video, we edited all of the video, and then put together that story for the later newscasts. So
talk about great experience.
It was hands-on. It was like learning, hands-on. Then I came back here and I worked for a production company for a little while. And still kind of like, well, what am I going to do? And then I got a call from Channel 15. I had actually applied to do traffic. And they said, well, you have weather on your resume tape. And they hired me to do weather. So I was there for about 5 years.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And then what made you, did you go right from there into real estate? Or what?
I did.
How did your journey, from there to real estate?
I did. So I got married and, the number one thing for me always that I wanted was to have a family, to have kids.
Sure.
And I was pushing it because I was, I did the whole career thing. So I was getting to an age where I was like, I can't wait any longer. I have to do this now. So I had gotten married and then I was pregnant and I decided, I don't like the hours of this anymore. The pay's not that great, believe it or not. People sometimes think if you're on television, you make a lot of money. The pay's not that great. Hours are crappy. So I thought it's time to make a change. And I actually was going to go into interior design because I've always liked, designing. Mm-hmm. And my mom said, because my mom was an investment banker until she retired, and she said, you should go into real estate because people will always be buying and selling houses. Mm-hmm. The economy is bad.
Yeah,
they may not be hiring you as a designer.
Yeah.
And if you go into real estate, you can also use your skills as a designer in that setting as well. So I decided, okay, I'll do it, and that was
Jump into real estate.
16 years ago that I jumped into real estate. I got
16
licensed.
years ago. So you've been in real estate 16 years. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And so, how long have you? I know you're with My Home Group. She's My Home Group agent. How long have you been with My Home Group so far?
I have been with My Home Group about a year and a half.
Year and a
now.
half. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And
Best brokerage I've ever worked for.
oh.
I really, because I've worked for a few.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and I just love. It just feels like a big family and a big
Yeah,
team.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I totally agree. I've been in business 17 years, and I've worked with a few brokerages, and I
Yep.
agree. The culture is amazing here.
Yep,
So
yep.
it's very unique. If anybody out there who would like to share the experience, come check out our workshops. The number of things that we do here at the company, but I
Yeah.
totally agree. It's amazing culture here.
And I think it's great for new agents too, because there's a lot of guidance, which, you know, for most new agents, you get licensed and you're just like,
Yeah. What do I do now?
yeah. You know.
Well, let's talk about that. So when you
Okay.
first got into real estate, what did you do? I mean, what was your? I know for me it was like I thought I had to know everything there was to know about real estate before I even started on a transaction, or even
Right.
before I did an open house. I felt like I got to soak up all this knowledge. And like you, I had a family that had been in real estate for my mom 40 years in
Right,
the business.
right.
And my dad, same thing, real estate, mortgage, all that stuff.
Yep,
And
yep.
I grew up in a real estate family, building,
Sure.
construction, all that stuff.
Right.
But I thought I had to know everything.
Right.
And then, my mom's like, well, how's that working out for you? You making any money? And
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, no,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm starving.
You gotta jump in.
Yeah, you got to jump in. So I'd love for you to share, how did you start?
Well, and it's interesting because I think you will probably agree with this. There weren't teams really around 16 years ago.
Oh,
Not
no,
many.
Very few.
It wasn't a model, but I think teams are a really good model because you get a ton. If you're with the right team, it should be equitable,
Yeah.
and you should feel like you're getting something out of, the team members, the team leader. You should feel like you're learning and you're able to call and ask questions, and you need some real guidance. I think that's one of the main reasons for being on a team.
Absolutely.
I just, like you, I just kind of jumped in, and I was getting some deals here and there from friends and from family, and that sort of thing. But I was just trying to figure out.
You mentioned teams, so did you start on a team, or did
No.
you just solo agent? Okay.
Solo agent. Yeah, I didn't even know about the team concept back then. Like I said, I don't remember it being as
Yeah.
ubiquitous.
Yeah. Well,
It's our big Friday
you,
word.
you were a little longer than me because I've been, even though 17 years in the
Yeah.
business, I was a lender for like almost 9 years,
gotcha.
and then
Yeah.
I'm licensed agent for about 8 years. Actually, this
okay.
month.
Yeah,
So August 1st is my
gotcha.
8 years.
But you were
yeah.
in the industry for that long.
I'm sorry?
But you've been in the
I've been in the
for
industry
16
that long,
years.
yeah.
Okay.
And so when I started, teams were starting to become,
Yeah.
they still weren't as like they are today.
Right.
But they,
Right.
I actually joined the team for 3 weeks, and then I knew right away I could do it on my own just from having that experience in mortgage.
Sure,
So,
sure.
but
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I was, just a solo agent, and have tiny kids though, and trying to, be a mom, but also make some money on the side, and so that sort of thing.
Right,
I
the
wasn't
work-life balance.
fully,
Yeah.
all in. But then I did get on a team, and that was like 2009.
2009.
Mm-hmm. So we were doing a lot of, REOs, and
Well, yeah, that was big.
it was huge.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I think I sold a $14,000 condo one time
Oh wow.
during those days. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that just gives you an idea of
Right,
what,
how
what
far
times,
we've come from
how
there.
far we've come and what times are like. But it was repetition. It was great to learn that side of it, and in a market like that, I really learned a ton being on that team. And then I decided I was going to go it alone, and I had some great guidance that put me with another team and said, no, I've got this guy, you really should work with him, you guys should, and I said, no, I don't want to be on a team.
Trying to be a partner?
It was the broker. No, it
really?
was like, he needs a buyer's agent, so Kelly Cook, who
Oh,
is phenomenal agent.
Yeah, he's
and
Still out there cranking.
top producer.
In fact, he was
excellent.
just on a
He was
yesterday.
Yeah, he was on yesterday. But he's a mentor to me, and we had a great time working together. But I was very like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to work on a team. And I just got some good guidance, which I'm sure you tell agents all the time, because this is, one of your roles within my home group.
Yeah.
It was like, no, trust me, get with this guy. He's going to teach you a ton. And so I did, and he and I worked together for years, which that doesn't happen a lot with teams. And then I went out on my own and started my own team, but he and I are still.
Yeah, so when did you start your own team?
I started my own team. It's been about nearly 5 years now, almost 5 years.
And what made you decide to start a team? Was it just something you always wanted to do, or was it something that kind of
I just
people
knew that I
you,
could.
or?
I just had enough business that I knew I could do it by myself, and I wanted to be able to, create my own model of how I wanted the team to be, and hire on some people to help assist me, and it's been a great decision.
Yeah, and you so 5 years for the team, and let's talk about where are you at now. I mean, you started, I imagine you probably started a small team.
Yep.
How big is your team now?
I had one other person that started with me, and he's still with me.
Oh, wow.
As a buyer's agent, yeah. So I don't have a revolving door type of model. I don't have a large team. We have about...
By choice, I take it.
By choice,
yeah,
for sure, yeah. We have about... There's 6 of us that are licensed, but one of my agents also does some transaction coordination, and one of my agents, my husband, who he does all kinds of things.
Work, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. He's retired police officer,
so
he retired 2 years ago, and so he started working with us as well. But anyway, we have about 6 agents, and really we just have 3 buyer's agents that are actually kind of the meat and the potatoes of the whole operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know you recently expanded your team, so can you talk about that a little bit?
We did. Yeah, I hired a great agent up in Prescott, Kat Collins, and she runs the My Home Group office up there. And we expanded because we own a couple of properties ourselves. My parents also have lived, had a second property up there for 10 years. So for the past 10 years, I've been watching the market and kind of seeing what Prescott is doing, and we just decided let's just jump in and expand. And we have a ton of clients that, I mean, as you know, right now it's very popular to get a second home and to try to escape the heat and have somewhere to go without having to travel far. So we just decided we were going to expand up into that area, and I think it's a great decision for us and a smart decision for us because we know the area.
And are you going to keep it small there too as well, the team?
Yes, for sure.
And
yeah.
So if you were looking for agents now, how many agents are you looking to bring on up in Prescott?
Up in Prescott. I mean, we would definitely interview other agents up there if anybody was interested.
Okay.
But we just always have to make sure that the person we choose is really the right fit, and on a lot of levels.
Of course, yeah.
Personally,
yeah, right. It's got to fit your team model, right? Everything about your team, the culture, all that stuff.
Yes, the culture. I mean, the culture is based on sarcasm. It really is.
Are you from the Midwest?
No.
Oh, okay. I was
going
to say that most Midwesterners have a lot of sarcasm.
Oh yeah, we're really
Johnny.
sarcastic.
If Johnny was on the show, we miss you, Johnny. So, yeah, I know Johnny was really busy today, so we do miss you today. But Johnny and I are both from the Midwest, and so we rub each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
Especially when I'm Northsider. We're both from Chicago, so I'm Northsider. He's Southsider. So he's a Sox fan, Cubs fan. So we're always
so you razz each other. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean your personalities just have to jive, I think.
Yeah.
And you do a good job in hiring people, and they're going to stay with you.
Yeah, yeah. Which is an important part of the process. So.
Very important.
So 5 years, you've been building the team, 16 years in the business.
Yep.
I know you've been a top producer here at My Home Group, so we've seen you on the leaderboard, so it's amazing to see that. And So let's talk a little bit about what you've done to get there. So I'm sure a lot of agents are interested in, I know we're going to lead right into farming here, but you didn't start out at farming. Was it open houses?
I didn't start out at farming. I mean, again, I keep going back to, other people that I've learned from, like Kelly Cook. And, yesterday Kelly Cook and Kenny Klaus were the ones that did the mastermind, the panel. Mm-hmm. And Kenny Klaus came and spoke to us once. And I'll never forget Kelly Cook and I sitting.
Sorry, I'm just checking for questions.
Okay.
So.
Sitting and listening to him and taking notes like crazy. And I mean, I've learned a ton from Kelly as well, especially when it comes to marketing and how to market yourself. And I mean, I inherently have that background since I come from television and media and that world. But he really helped me hone it in. But we were listening to Kenny and talking about doing a newsletter. And I decided I'm going to do a newsletter because I live in a master planned community, Fireside at Norterra, and there's 1,500 homes. And we, built our house there. I've lived there since 2007. And I thought, this is nobody's owning this neighborhood, and I'm a serious full-time agent. I'm going to start, taking what I learned from him and applying it. And I did, and so I created a newsletter, like a two-sided,
So you created your own newsletter, so not through a service, you created your own.
I did it myself, yeah. And so, each newsletter would have a market report just for those 1,500 homes in that neighborhood.
So can you, for any new agents or you're thinking about doing this, but what did you use? Was it like Publisher or something, or what did you use to create the newsletter?
I went through our title company, who helped me, Lawyers Title.
Oh, right. Well, Lawyers Title is our preferred partner, one of them?
Yep. So I've used Lawyers Title for years and love them as well.
So they helped you with that?
They did. I mean, I had the concept and I had the idea and I was able to put it together, but they were able to help guide me. And, you just have to basically get a designer, but you could do what you just recommended is find a certain service or a website or app or whatever and just drop in your info. And we usually had like an editorial or something and talking about the real estate market in that area, and then a market report. And the other interesting thing that I did based on Kenny Klaus is I had at the bottom of the back page there were like items of value, coupons from other businesses in my neighborhood. I really wanted people that were in my neighborhood. There were a lot of business owners. So, you offer, 25% off or 10% off of, having your AC service, things like that.
But I take it you went and talked to these businesses or called them or whatever.
I did. So it's a lot of legwork. It's not easy, but if you're determined and you have a plan, that's how I did it. And then
was it printed or digital or both?
It was printed.
Okay, so
just printed.
Okay.
At that time, just printed. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, it was a lot of work because they would deliver them to my house, and then I found some teenage boys that lived in the neighborhood that wanted to work, and I paid them $10 an hour, and they walked around and hand delivered them. I didn't mail them; they just hand delivered them.
And so specifically, those 1,500 homes or whatever, however many homes you chose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now, so that's when you first started right away with.
That's when I first started, and I had lived in the neighborhood, a few years, and had known a lot of my neighbors, and people knew that I was in real estate, and I have the networking down, because I enjoy it. I like talking with people. I enjoy going to events. I enjoy, it's really second nature for me. But anyway, I just wanted to reach out to people that I didn't know. And this was kind of before the Facebook pages had taken off and you could, get to people that way. So
the social media platforms at the time were not as prominent as they are now.
No.
So, okay.
Right. And that was like 7 years ago. I was still on Kelly Cook's team when I started deciding that I was going to do my own newsletter and kind of, basically do my own thing. And
was that the only thing you were doing at the time, or were you doing
I
open
started
houses?
with that.
Were you doing
I would also do open houses if there were any available, or if I had any listings, I would do that kind of thing as well. But I'm telling you, the newsletters, after like 6 months, it was incredible how everybody knew my name, knew the brand, and the calls started coming in, the listings started coming in, and we've just been building off of that ever since. And expanded too to the whole zip code now, the 85085 zip code. So we've bled out of just that master plan community into other areas. But I started really small with like 1,500 homes.
So that's important. I know, because as we're leading into farming here, and farming, you would agree, is the long game. So
it is the long game.
It's not the quick, easy now. It is, or best way to describe it, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, right. And it's something that you have to plan for. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you started small with a certain number of homes. You created your own material, and then you started delivering it. So, or hiring people to help you get that word out. Did you have an idea or a plan of like how long that you were going to do that, or was it just a one-time thing at the time? So it was just
No, I knew I was going to do it monthly.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did it monthly, and I knew that was what I had to do in order to stay in front of people. Which, I mean, that's the big failure of agents is
one hit try wonders. 1 month and then don't do it the next month. Right.
Right. Yeah. One hit, send out one item, and that's it. And you never hear from them again. And you have to just consistently stay in front of people.
Yeah. So did you plan, like I know in our UX Training Quest we talk about this a little bit, and we talk about how you have to plan for it. It's like, put some money aside, because we know this is a long game. So every time you close a transaction, a little bit should come out to keep the farming pillar, if that's what you're doing, going.
Of course.
So,
absolutely.
So is that something that you did at first, or did you work your way into that?
No, that's what we did.
Okay.
That's what we did at first. And the reason that we had the hand delivery was because of the cost.
Yeah, keep the cost down.
Kept the cost down. And I loved that we were hiring, kids in the neighborhood, so that was great. But it also kept the cost down. It was before I wanted to make that investment and could afford monthly to actually mail a piece.
Right. So, and I would imagine you probably do that now.
We do.
A little bit easier now.
But I've gotten away from the newsletter because I feel like I really have a base now, and I have a nice database as well, so I can send emails. I pretty much have emails for a lot of my farm area, and we just make sure that we still stay in front of people. We do kind of a layered thing. I mean, there's some local publications that we advertise in. We still send things in the mail. We're also hitting people up on a drip. We have a specific one for certain neighborhoods. If we get a listing in a certain neighborhood, or within that zip code, we typically, we do what I call a listing launch, which is you send out a postcard for sure, hopefully invite people to an open house before, all this COVID. Invite people to an open house. So try to do, there's 5 marketing items that we do with every listing that hopefully
So start with the newsletter. Now you've graduated to where you have this robust system that's actually doing a lot of these things for you.
Correct.
So as a new agent, it sounds like picking an area that you want to start marketing in or farming in.
Yes.
And then you started with a newsletter.
Right.
And then hand delivering at that point. And then as you start to grow the business, you can start to invest in a system that's going to help do some of this for you.
Correct.
Did you do any circle prospecting as well as farming? Like if you got a listing, for example, I take it you did the just listed and hit the whole thing. Okay, so you added that piece in as well too.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when a property sells, then we usually try to take a unique fact about it. Hopefully it's that we set a record for price, set a record for days on market, something like that, and then we again do a mailer. And we have the entire neighborhood of 1,500 homes. They're broken down sort of organically by the builder anyway. There's different areas, but I know it so well that I know which models are in certain parts of the neighborhood, and I know who we need to hit that would really care about that.
Too.
Yeah, I live in the neighborhood,
and
I've sold 200 houses in that neighborhood.
Oh wow! Have you expanded that since then, or outside of that area, or is that
We
just
have.
still?
We have.
Okay.
So we then, like I said, we're trying to hit the entire zip code now, but we're doing it slowly by bleeding into other little
I
neighborhoods
think you
surrounding.
said that, so it wasn't something you just jumped right into. Okay, let's just hit the entire zip code.
No.
It's about, okay, we know this area really well. Let's start to really get into this area.
Yes.
So you're doing your research,
Yes.
and then you start gradually going into the next part of the zip code.
Absolutely.
And then okay.
Yeah, totally. And another thing to talk about too is, a lot of people mention this, and it really is true. If you're looking at a neighborhood to farm, first of all, I think it's great if you live in the area and you know people. And it's really important, and a lot of people will tell you this, and you kind of go, when you're a new agent, but, to live near the area you're farming and not have to drive, like, over to East Mesa, or you don't know anything about that area,
Right.
and you're up in North Phoenix, it just doesn't make a whole
Well,
lot
it
of
makes a
sense.
good point, because let's say you're in Mesa and you start the farming in Scottsdale,
Right.
and then you get your first call, your first contact,
Right.
and then they're like, well, do you live in the area?
Right.
Do you know the area?
Right.
And you're really
No, I don't.
only so much you can say, right? So, so I like that you're saying that you should be starting in an area we're very familiar with.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think that's key. But the other thing is, check out the MLS. Look at the area that you're interested in. Check out the sales over the last year. Are
Do you
there
look
any
for a
names?
certain
Are
turnover
there any
rate or
names?
percentage of sold homes? I mean, how do you do?
I don't anymore.
Okay.
And I didn't have to there because there wasn't anybody really owning the neighborhood. And so when I stepped up my game and I decided, had a plan, decided what I was going to do, then, typically it's the Sakala group that
Right.
sells most
It's
of
a
the
brand
homes
at
in
this
there.
point, but in the beginning, you
Yeah.
did look for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because if nobody was moving in that area,
Right.
and that
Right.
percentage of
For sure.
turnover is low,
Then that's not a good area to farm.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, if somebody else is really owning a neighborhood, then find another area.
Yeah.
And you do get sometimes some newer agents that are like, well, they own it for now, but I'm going to step in. It's like, okay, yeah, I like your moxie, but you're better off finding an area that an agent isn't already hitting hard and farming and owning,
Right.
There's plenty, because believe you me, there are plenty of agents that are not consistently staying in front of people.
Right.
So take it small. If you can only afford to do 100 houses,
Start there.
Start there.
Yeah, start somewhere, and that's
Start
something
somewhere.
that
And
we
stay
try to teach
on
agents
it.
as well. Start somewhere. It doesn't matter if you're only doing 50 homes. Start there.
Yes.
Start working on your brand. Start
Yep.
building that. Start working that area, and then you can start to expand to 100 homes and 150 homes and work your way up.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And the good thing too is to remember is know your audience. I mean, that's just a good life skill, right?
Yeah.
But know your audience and know, I don't do door knocking in my neighborhood because it would piss people off.
Yeah. Can you break that down a little bit? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
So maybe it's someone that's new that's thinking about doing this, but what do you mean by know your audience? What are you doing to know your audience?
I just feel like I'm lucky in that I'm inherently good at that anyway, and my personality is such that I can kind of, talk to anyone. But if you're in a neighborhood with older people, they don't want you knocking on their door. Don't knock on their door. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Know your audience. Decide what you think would appeal to them when it comes to marketing.
And where do you go to find some of this information? Do you use like an Altos report or something from Title? Do you get information there? Where do you get information, or do you just?
I just know it now, and from living in the neighborhood, I just know it. I know my neighborhood is multi-generational, so there's different.
I would think social media helps now too, though,
For
right?
sure,
So 'cause
yeah.
you can know what's in the area.
Yep.
I think part of it is even knowing the businesses in the community and
Sure.
different things like that to give you an idea of
Sure.
what the community is
Yeah.
like.
Well, even, and we can even get bigger with this as far as knowing your audience. When I post on Facebook, let's say it's just my personal page, because I have a personal page and then I have a realtor page, a team page. And I always watch both, but my personal page tends to be a lot more like my real personality, which is, you know, upbeat, kind of snarky, and kind of sarcastic, and kind of, you know. But I watch how many likes I get, how many comments I get. And I'll tell you what, when I post on my personal page and say, new listing, you might get 10 likes out of 2,000 people that you're friends with. Mm-hmm. And 1 or 2 people comment. You get on and show a bathroom that has wall-to-wall carpet and up the walls and crazy stuff going on.
Out of the ordinary, yeah.
You get 50 comments and hundreds of likes. So pay attention to that.
Okay, that's important. I like that you said that, because that's so true. I've talked with agents about the social media platforms and how important it is. The other thing I wanted to talk about, because you bring up a really good point, is whether it's 2 comments or 50 comments, it's important for you to respond, right? To
sure.
Interact.
Always.
Yeah. Okay.
I always get on and like or comment or say something.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. And I know some people would argue, well, just because people don't like or don't comment, they still saw you. And I'm like, yeah, but that could be proof that you're annoying them.
Yeah.
And they're just scrolling right by you instead of engaging. So pay attention to that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So
people like to laugh, and they like funny, and they like,
so true.
You know?
Yeah, you gotta be.
They don't ever care that I have a new listing, really, unless there's something spectacular about it, something really cool. I mean, I might even get as intricate as like, check out this tile that they did for the backsplash. It's awesome in this house. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it's a new listing, or you know what I mean?
Right, which is different than just check out.
I do a lot of
this house I just listed.
Yeah,
right?
I do a lot of subliminal marketing. Like, if I'm out with clients and we see something interesting, I might take a photo of that and post it and say something, whatever, great or snarky or, you know. But basically, I'm telling you, I'm out with people showing houses. So you're like, oh, she's working. Yeah. She's working. She's always working.
Yeah. At the same time, perceptive. So you see
Correct.
Things, you know, not just as a whole picture, but even more detailed.
I can't tell you how many pictures I take of houses when I'm out showing. All the time.
And then it sounds like you post regularly. So you started with the newsletter.
Yes.
And worked that area as you expanded. Now you're using social media platforms to help you with.
Oh yes.
So it's all about expanding your reach at that point.
And at that point, I needed help because I was getting very busy. So I'm actually, and a lot of agents will understand this. You're in it, and you're like, okay, this is what's important because this is what feeds my family and pays my mortgage, and so I got to close these deals. I got to help my clients and give them the best experience possible. But I still need to do this, and oh my gosh, that's daunting because I'm so busy with what I feel like is really bringing in the money when this is just as important. So when you get to that point, hire some help, and that's exactly what I did. So I hired a marketing director. And she's been with me also since we started. So for years and years and years, and she handles a lot of the Instagram and Facebook and all of the marketing pretty much. And it's that area can be daunting, and that's why I say if you're at a point where you can hire somebody, it's a good thing to do because taking things off your plate so you can do what you're best at.
Well, I do like that. That's something that in any business as a new agent. Well, let's talk. Before I was going to say you should always be hiring help or getting help, even if it's part-time. It doesn't have to be a full-time person. You could start out small. If it is marketing, maybe you only need somebody 2 hours a week,
right? And
you can work that
into
where they become.
Yeah, she was working from home, and a stay-at-home mom, looking for another little bit of money and purpose outside of the kids in the house, and it's been a great fit. But yeah, you just hire somebody part-time, somebody that's their job. I send her photos, I send her things, and a lot of times on my own personal page, that's really me posting. But with some of the other social media that we have, she handles a lot of it, and it's been absolutely amazing to get that off of my plate. It's been phenomenal. Yeah.
And I think you would agree that it's important to know when to hire someone. So what would be your response to that? I mean, when did you know that you really needed to bring someone in?
When I was too busy and it was causing me a lot of stress to stay on top of the marketing.
Right.
And when I can afford it. Don't
Right.
do what you can't afford.
Right, that's true. I definitely like that comment. So, talk about, I know we've talked about, you started with the newsletter, you're now expanding the social media platform, now you have a marketing person that's helping you with the marketing and all of that. Can you take us through something you're working on now?
We are actually working on our listing presentation. So we are just getting in and honing in and changing that up a little bit, because I always, have a listing presentation and then I have a piece that I leave with people, a leave behind type, piece, and it outlines what we do for marketing, and we're working on making that better.
So so you've marketed through. You don't do much paper anymore, right? But you're still hitting your area.
Right.
You get a call or a response.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're reaching out. Is it you or a team that reaches out at that point?
If it's sellers, then I reach out.
Okay, you reach out.
And typically the buyers, then my team reaches out.
Okay, so the buyer reaches out, then you reach out for the seller.
Right.
And then let's walk through that process. So we know that you're marketing the zip code, and you get a lead. And if it's a buyer, your team calls. If it's a seller, you call.
Right.
Walk us through that process. Like, step us through. You've got the lead, the call. What do you do?
Well, typically, the first thing that I want to do is get into your house.
Yeah, get the appointment.
Get the appointment.
Okay.
Get in front of you, see your house. Let's talk about, I know the area so well. I know this model, because I typically look it up, and I can tell by the square footage, and, I know this model, we sold it, but I need to see yours. Because
well, I like that you took the time to know the different models of the subdivision, so that makes for an easier conversation.
For sure.
You know a lot about the house.
No question.
Okay.
No question.
So now you're talking to them. You're setting the appointment. Take us from there.
Set the appointment. Get the appointment. Do a walkthrough. I always chat with people, and kind of, my first thing typically is, if we haven't discussed it on the phone, it's, what's your plan?
Okay.
Are you also, buying? You moving out of state? What's the plan here? And put it on them and let them tell you, the story, and typically do a walkthrough, and then that's when I get into my listing presentation.
Now, you mentioned that do you sometimes send a marketing piece out to them? Does that go out automatically, or is that something that?
If I have a seller lead, that I just got a couple this morning as I was looking at my phone here, and it's a 555 number. That's the job, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but they did, have the address. So they filled out a property valuation form on our website, which they may have found through Facebook or other pay-per-click, other kind of marketing. So they got on and figured out, that we're doing, got on and filled out the seller evaluation. And so at that point, what we do, if I get a real phone number or email, we try to call, or if I don't, then I send an RPR report with the handwritten note and Sakala Group stationery and all of that, and that gets mailed to their home.
And that RPR report, is that like a property detail report, or just a little bit of information about?
It's a seller's report, and it just kind of gives them an idea of what the property is worth.
Okay,
and
snapshot.
Then a snapshot, and then my handwritten note is for a more comprehensive look.
And that's what I was getting at. So
and what your home value is. I would love to I don't even say I would love to. I say, let me know when we can schedule a walkthrough. Let me know when you're available for a more comprehensive. Yeah, that's the call to action, is in my handwritten note.
Okay, and then does that go out mail or?
Mail.
Okay, so it is.
So I'm hitting them in the mail with that.
Okay.
Because like I said, a lot of times you don't get an accurate email and you don't get an accurate phone number.
Right, so why not send it to
555,
the property? Yeah.
555, 5555.
Well, excellent.
To Santa Claus. It's not a real strong lead.
Yeah.
But
you know the address is there, so you could send it to them.
Typically, they put in their correct address.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I've gotten Obi-Wan at obiwan.com.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing. But it's still worth sending that, because a lot of times they're just trying to find out any kind of information about homes worth.
Yes.
Okay. So the mail goes out. Is there another step after that, or are you waiting for them to respond, or do you send something else? Do you do a follow-up?
You know, I typically don't, and 9 times out of 10, you know, they come back or they contact us. Okay. So that's the reason that I haven't implemented that. You know, what's our third touch? What's our fourth touch? What's our, you know, to stay in front of these people. I really haven't had to do that, so I typically don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so now you get the appointment, and this is where you're talking about you're honing that listing presentation.
Right.
Walk us through what your typical experience is like with trying to get the listing.
You know, I typically, you know, obviously you try to find common ground with somebody when you walk in the door. Mm-hmm. You know, find some common ground and be able to relate to them on a personal level. And, you know, then you start talking about, and people love to talk about themselves and their homes and their, you know, talk about the house, and I've had agents in the past, you know, it's so confusing because this is the other thing I'd like to say to new agents or any agents is there's so many opinions out there, and you really have to figure out what works for you, because I've had opinions from experienced agents where they say, don't walk in and say, oh, your house is gorgeous, because they're trying to sell the house. So don't tell them it's great and then make them feel some heartache. I totally disagree with that. I think people love that. They want to feel like they've done a nice job
on the home
since they've been there. They have pride of ownership, which they will take with them to their next property. It's inherently who they are.
I would agree with that, actually.
You have to, you know, and there are times when I go into houses that I don't feel that way about, and I'm not going to lie, but, you know, we'll talk about other things. But I just typically find some common ground, and then my experience in the area then sort of takes over. And
right, because you know the models, you know the area, so that really helps with your whole presentation. Cause
absolutely.
They know from you just talking about the home and all that.
Wow,
they really know. She knows this model, she knows the square footage, she knows this neighborhood, she knows the builder, she knows all that stuff. So.
Yes.
Okay, very important to know to have that information beforehand.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what? I know, Bill, we've got like 18 or so minutes. You know what I wanted to chat about with you?
Yeah.
This is all new to me. So I'm selling my personal house, and we're moving into we're staying in the same neighborhood, but we're getting a single story in a different area with a different view and yada, yada, yada. So I sold my house, and it's closing today. Wow. And it's interesting though, because it's been 13 years since, you know, we have some investment properties that we've purchased, but you don't have the same, I don't know, you know, love as you do for your own house. You know, my youngest daughter was born in this house, and, you know, so I absolutely love it. I've remodeled the whole thing because that's what I love to do. And anyway, it's just been a long time since I've been a seller. So it was really interesting in this market for me to be on that side. And we had like 10 showings the first day, 5 offers.
Right.
And you go, wow, this is, first of all, it's a pain because you got to get out of the house with the dogs. And I'm, you know, my teenage girls, I'm like, put that brush away and get the brush. So to understand what that really feels like from the insider is also really interesting, you know, that whole part of it. But you know, wow, I just got to look at what are sellers really wanting from offers and from buyers. And again, I've had the advice where, and I tell my clients every time we go into a house, assume that you're being recorded.
Yeah.
Because people
have
cameras
we just
everywhere.
talked about another mastermind.
Assume you're being recorded. So watch what you say. But I don't know if you remember this as well, but you know, years ago it'd kind of be like poker face. Don't let them know you love the house, you know, and if you think you're being recorded, don't give them anything. You know, I found that, because of course we have cameras in our house. My husband's, retired police officer.
Well, good. Yeah.
So one party stay, you can watch those cameras. It's your own house and it's legal to watch back.
Right.
And I watched all 5 of the people that made offers, and I wanted to see how much I felt like they actually loved the house. And also, a couple of the agents never even came in with their clients.
Really? That's very interesting.
And then tried to act like they did have their clients with them, with me, as I was talking with them and negotiating and kind of, because I just didn't want to go with somebody that didn't actually have their client there.
Right.
And I know that we have to do that sometimes, but in this market, sellers don't have to do that. So I think it's really important.
Well, I like that you said
if you can.
That you wanted someone that loved the home.
I wanted that love the home. I wanted people to appreciate. And, the person that absolutely just was this, younger couple, and she just loved everything I had done and was, actually just like, oh my God, I always thought, look at that, look what they did here, this, But they were a contingent offer.
Oh.
And I knew that I was purchasing another home, and I had all these other strong offers that weren't contingent. So then I went to the next person that loved it as well. But I think it's okay to show that you love a house now, and the seller wants to know that. It makes them feel good.
Yeah. Excellent. That's fine. I like that you brought that up, because that's something I don't think a lot of people really think about.
Yeah, and I want to help some of these agents that are just having a hell of a time getting any offers accepted. I think it's okay to show that your client really, really loves the property, and a letter also helps. It does, and I always, because I'm not a real lovey-dovey. I'm a little more. It's just not my personality. But I'll tell you what.
It still has
I liked that. I liked those couple of letters from these people that talked about raising their family in the house. It got me in the,
It has an impact.
It feels, it has an impact, so it matters.
I love everything that you've talked about so far, and obviously it shows why you've been so successful in real estate.
Thank you.
So the farming that's always a mainstay. That's something you're always doing. And let's talk about now. So you really started with the newsletter. You've graduated into the marketing platforms and using those through social media. And quick question: the social media is ringing about. Do you use like Instagram, Facebook? So you use all the different platforms?
Everything except Twitter.
Except for Twitter? Okay. I haven't been one of those people that have graduated to Twitter yet either.
Yeah. So, I get on Twitter and peruse, but we don't really typically have
Okay, so you do use the social media platforms for your marketing?
Instagram, absolutely.
Yeah, so and then I would imagine in the beginning you probably didn't have a CRM like you do now.
Right.
So it's important, I think, you would agree that having a CRM that has automation and all that stuff that's helping you is important to have that.
Yes.
So you've graduated to that.
That's really
nice. And then now you're marketing your area. You're sending important information out to the seller to get the appointment. You get the appointment.
Yes.
You've gone through, won the appointment. Now take us through, what do you do after you close? So let's say you've listed the home, you've got it sold, and what are you doing now for not only just your area but for that client?
Well, we always send a closing gift, and I like to send things that are branded if possible, and things that people will not throw away. And so every time you reach for that cutting board, or you reach for that, whatever it might be, sometimes it depends on the price point, and did I give them a deal? Did we have, which I typically don't like to do, but sometimes, you do that. So, it all depends on what level of closing gift that you might give. But always give something, whether it's a return address stamper, and have your
I've heard that
logo,
before,
have your sticker on it, your logo on it, so every time they go to use it, they're going to see Sakala Group. Okay. It just, you
and I like that you mentioned something that they would use.
Always.
And I've always recommended that too. Like one of my favorite things I ever gotten was and they knew I was a Cubs fan, so I actually gotten a bottle opener, and it was Harry Carey. So if you've ever heard Harry Carey, right? And so when you pop the top, it's Harry Carey. It's a long, deep fly ball. And I thought that was amazing. They thought about that.
Right.
And I used that thing until it just wore out.
Until it died.
Right?
Yeah.
So I like that you mentioned it. Something that people could use that, and it has your information on it, so it's a constant reminder.
Yeah, because we all get those items, the swag items, and you just go, oh, great.
Yeah, right.
Trash.
Yeah.
The other thing I do as well is, and this, we keep people, obviously, in our CRM and drip on them and do client appreciation events. And, right now we can't do client appreciation events, so I just ordered some swag yesterday, some nice insulated stainless steel cups with our logo on them that I'm going to send out to most of my clients in my database. Instead of a client appreciation, I'm going to send that out because we can't really, get together in groups. So I'm going to send that out instead. But I also like to, for the neighborhood, kind of going back to that farming, a lot of people agents will send out like a baseball schedule, football schedule, whatever. We're not doing that either right now. But
so what are you doing?
For the past, I want to say 3 years in my entire neighborhood, and I actually bled out into other ones this last year. I do a magnet that's about this big, so it's a decent size, and it has the bulk trash schedule. And nobody throws it away. I go to houses all the time to do listing appointments on the side of the refrigerator.
I like that idea. It is useful because people want to know.
So think of things like that people, what matters to you? What do you find yourself searching for that somebody could make a lot easier, make your life a lot easier?
Right.
You're not going to throw it away.
So the Cardinal schedule is just something that people, and
If
you
you
think
send me
about
a
it.
Cardinal schedule, I'd throw it away because I'm not a football fan.
I was just going to say it's a very
But everybody
eclectic
puts their
state,
trash
so
out.
not a lot of people. There's people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And I know when I went to a Cardinals game, it was Cardinals against the Bears. There were more Bears fans than there were Cardinals fans. So
Yeah.
I could see where that could be hit or miss. But I like the idea of something useful that like that really is something they'll look at all the time. They'll use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that again also goes back to knowing your neighborhood. I mean, say you're in Central Phoenix or some of the areas that have irrigation. I don't just
right. When to irrigate, right? Excellent stuff. So then it's now closed. You've sent out the closing gift. All that. I would imagine you then circle prospect at that point because you're like, hey, just sold.
Yes.
Doing that, and then
Always.
back to your regular.
So that's our
farming.
way of touching the rest of the neighborhood. Like I said, I don't do the newsletter anymore to the whole neighborhood, but we have a rotating schedule, and we pretty much know when the last touches have gone out to certain areas of the neighborhood. It's not just flying by the seat of our pants. There's
and then
there's methods and processes, and we know how often. And then I'll do typically twice a year. I might do a proof of production postcard to the entire
to send it out
neighborhood.
to the, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. So then that's just telling you, what's been happening.
With a thumbnail of all the properties you've sold, and it just,
Right. Showing that you are that neighborhood specialist.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, back to the farming. So back to the farm never stops, really.
Farm never
that's
stops.
just something that continues to go out.
It does.
And then all these pieces that we just talked about all happens during that period,
Yes.
throughout.
Yes. Just layering, And also, we used to have events at our community center, and there are times when I don't feel like going to those because I'm tired, I worked, whatever. I always go because it's just a great way.
You're that neighborhood expert, right?
Yeah,
You want to
it's a
have
way
that
to
brand.
stay in front of people and to,
Do you
shake
hold any
hands and-
events? So it sounds like you
I
go
do,
to some?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll hold events also.
So that's part of the whole process too.
Right, yep. And then I will sponsor things and, even with the school, so my kids go to the local school, and, we just had a new school open in our area, and I'm buying them a Keurig, the teachers, for the teachers lounge. And guess what? There'll be a Sakala Group sticker on it, and like, your morning happiness and cup of joe provided by the Sakala Group, whatever, in a little stand next to it or a little frame next to it. So just things like that. We like to give back, but it's also nice to, have your name recognized as well.
Right. And brand, I would say that's something that is also the long haul. So it's branding takes a while for people to really recognize who you are, and so that's why farming is really helps build the brand because
Absolutely.
it's constantly sending stuff out all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
And let's see. I know I could talk about this all day. It is an interesting area, and I know a lot of people shy away from it. Even I did for a while. Was the
From
shy away?
farming?
Yeah, from farming, like sending out a mass mail.
Why?
campaign.
Because you felt like you couldn't maintain it?
Well, in the beginning, yeah, I did feel like that.
Yeah.
And it's because in the beginning I didn't have knowledge like you had about.
Right.
I always thought you had to go big, kind of thing. Where
No.
and you don't really have
No.
to anymore. So.
But this is another reason to get on a team and get on a team where you feel like you're learning. In my opinion, that's what's important, and especially if you see yourself eventually either starting your own team or just being, a solo agent, but you're not real confident about marketing or any of those things. So get with somebody that you know is doing a good job.
Yeah, much like your team. That's what you specialize in, and
Yeah.
and again, made the leaderboard. I mean, here's a very experienced agent.
Did the leaderboard come out? Did the leaderboard come out today?
Oh, I don't know. I have to check. I've had an appointment this morning, then right into this show.
Mark and Jeremy, leaderboard, brilliant.
Yeah.
For people that are really, really, really competitive, which I'm really competitive, it's a great motivator for me.
Yeah.
It's a great motivator. I love it.
So I know we've got a few minutes. If you could share with everyone.
Questions?
What's that? Kind of summarize farming, like how just kind of take us through it real quickly as a summary.
Start small.
Start small.
For sure. Try to find an area, or you know what, you don't even have to. So like I was saying, my background is media, so I actually represent a lot of media people in the area because I stay in contact with them. We have a lot of things, from our background experiences in common. My husband's retired PD. We also stay in front of that. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be a neighborhood. If you want to...
It could be a group, like you said.
It could be a group.
The police force.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, I love that. So.
What do you like to do? What does your background look like? I mean, even if you wanted to tap into, which there's a ton, but Chicago people that have relocated.
Yeah,
that's
what
your
Johnny does.
thing.
Johnny's
That's
farming
your
in
niche.
Chicago. Yeah, he does a lot of relocation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Find a niche.
Find something that interests you, right?
Yeah,
and start
because if
small.
it interests you, then it's second nature to discuss it and to be good at it.
Yeah.
And you're genuine and authentic.
Well, I think you said that. Be good at it. So when you start out of farming, it might not seem like something you're very excited about, but when you become good at it,
it's a task.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a task, but
Yeah.
guess what? You gotta take the good with the bad at times, and you have to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love all that.
Yeah.
I've checked for any questions. We have just a couple minutes left. I don't have any questions unless I'm looking at the wrong thing, but I'm pretty sure it's possible.
Did Kelly send you a
Kelly
text?
hasn't texted me yet, so
Kelly.
and I know she's gonna be walking up here in just a couple minutes. But I really appreciate you, sharing the experience here. Now,
And if any agents ever want to, give me a call and run some things by me or chat with me,
I was
absolutely,
just gonna ask that.
yeah,
when we
I'm
were here.
absolutely
Yeah.
open to that. No problem at all.
Yeah. So you heard it from Shelley. If you have some questions on farming, reach out to her. It was such a pleasure having you on the
Thank
show
you.
today,
Yeah,
and
it was fun.
just sharing your experience and everything you do. We're excited about what you're doing here at my home group and
Thank you.
your success and all that. So
Thank you very much.
Thanks everybody for being on the show. We'll see you next Friday, and hope you all have a great weekend.
Bye.
So it goes fast.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.